got a package in the mail that I wasn't even expecting because I totally forgot about this. This package was sent last year, and for some reason it got stuck in the mail for over 6 months. Let's take a look at what I got. Another one that was opened. See, these were open. Some of these, I don't know what happened, whether, I think they inspected these things. This is part of the package that was delayed. Like, this took literally 6 months to get here. And I think it's been held up in customs and they've been looking at something, because these were all opened. Like, well, one of them wasn't, but this one, there was 2 of them that were opened. Like, the anti-static bag has been ripped open and somebody's been going through this. So this one's a Bluetooth receiver. And it also has an SD card, and it has a USB port, and it's got a remote control. So let's set this one up. What is the specs on this one? This one is, so look this one up and see what it is. This one's 50 watts per channel, runs 12 to 24 volts DC. And it says, yeah, this one's support. This one's the item number 14750. Yep, that's it there. And 50 watts per channel, power amplifier board, supports microSD, USB, and of course Bluetooth. And it has a remote control, and it has a battery already installed. It's interesting because usually you got to pull the tab out of this thing, and it's someone's pulled the tab on it. So I don't know what the heck the delay was on this one, but let's just say this email that I got sent to me telling me that these were going to get shipped out to me, and I totally forgot about it because, you know, when you get stuff coming in, you're not really keeping track of time. But it was October 29th was when I received the email for working on, or for reviewing these things. So I don't know what heck happened, but I think it probably got held up in customs somewhere, and someone's just been sitting on it for the last 6 months. Here we've got power and ground, and our left and right outputs. They're labeled on here. So let me get the speakers hooked up, and we'll test this final one. So we'll connect up our speakers. They are polarized. You see, these are the binding posts that I'm not a big fan of. I don't like these ones as much, just because wires can pop out on them. If you don't get them all the way in and you tighten them down, they don't grip anything. And of course, if you take out the screws too far, you'll lose the screws. Plus, the chances of a short circuit on these, unless you trim your wires very, very carefully, the chances of the speaker wires shorting, because there's not much spacing, are greater. So I'm not a huge fan of these type of connection termination. I like the other ones much better from the other unit, but they are what they are. Typically, once you've got something set up and it's mounted in a cabinet, it's not going to be an issue anyway, right? So hook up my power leads. And this one takes 12 to 24 volts, so we'll power this one up around just under 24 volts.
Bluetooth mode. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Another one with the voice prompts. So let me just find this one.
The Bluetooth device is connected successfully.
It's just called Bluetooth. It doesn't even have a name. I just see one called Bluetooth. Well, that worked. Of course, I can control the volume from the phone as well, right? I can control the volume from the phone or from the buttons on here. EQ button. So the next and back buttons are your volume up and volume down. Play is play and pause from Bluetooth device. So this one's also operating at 400 kilohertz, actually 397 to be precise. 397 kilohertz. And this one actually shuts off when you pause the music. This one actually shuts off the PWM signal, as I'll show you. As you see, no signal until I start playing the music. See? Shuts right off. Let's see where this one cuts out voltage-wise. My input voltage is 29.3. Now back it down. Kicks back in at 28.5. This is the voltage you're seeing coming out of the switch, the MOSFET switch. On the low side, we take it down. See where it drops out. Down to 5.1 volts now. Cuts out at 4.3, 4.4. 4.4, it's working. 4.3, it drops. But anyway, that's playback from Bluetooth. Let's unpair it from Bluetooth.
The Bluetooth device is ready to pair.
Let's try it with an SD card.
Music.
Just like the other one. How these units all play is they play the music the order that it was loaded on to the memory card. So this is the second to the last song I put on because this is something I recently got, well, more recently from the YouTube music library. And that's the last one I put on. So I press and hold the button. Volume, and it beeps. EQ button, of course, changes the equalization. Mode button is going to switch between the inputs, And with the remote control here, I should be able to go directly to a track. So if I go to track 01, or if I just press 1, I don't know if the battery's any good in this thing. I think that is track 1. Can I play directly, I wonder? Mute works. What about track skip? Track skip works. Volume works. Well, the number buttons don't appear to do anything. I don't think this has an FM radio built in. It's got an FM button, but I think this is just a standard remote that's probably included with a bunch of different devices. And this one here, it more than likely only supports the skip forward, skip backwards, play, pause, mode.
Bluetooth mode. The Bluetooth device is music.
Will change to the different sources.
Bluetooth mode. The Bluetooth device is ready to pair. Music.
Okay, that's a look at this little board. This one's called, what do they call this one? Just a Bluetooth amplifier board. Supports TF card. Not much of a description. Item 14750 anyway. It's 50 watts per channel is what they're claiming the power is. Usually these units are relatively accurate if you give it the rated voltage and you've got enough power. I know people are going to dispute that. They always do dispute the power claims by the Class D amplifier manufacturers, because many people will try and apply the standard calculations that they would do for a Class AB amplifier, and those calculations don't quite give you an accurate rating for these. You have to rate them the way that the manufacturers rate them. They're based on the specs of the chips. The manufacturers of these little boards, they don't make the chips. Most of the chips are coming from Texas Instruments and other big companies that design the Class D amplifier modules and chips, and they are rating them at their absolute maximum rating. So when you see a figure of 50 watts per channel at 24 volts, that's the absolute maximum. And your power output is going to be obviously less than that, but it's going to be a lot higher than an equivalent amplifier of an AB design will give you, just because of the efficiency, right? They're factoring in the efficiency. A little board like this probably more realistically is going to be around 40 watts per channel, 42 watts per channel. They rate it at 50. So take the power ratings of all of these little modules with a grain of salt. They're going to give you some pretty good power and pretty good punch for the size of the unit, and they're very power efficient, and the sound quality of them now is actually very good. The first generation of Class D amplifiers, they sounded pretty bad, but they're actually getting to be very good and quite smooth sounding. Couple this with a tube buffer ahead of it and you get some really good sound. And there are some very high-end audio companies out there, like PS Audio for one, which charges a small fortune for their amplifiers, and they're all using Class D these days for their output. They're using a MOSFET preamp to warm up the sound, and the really high-end ones are actually using a couple of vacuum tubes, a couple of little triodes, one in each channel, to take away some of the sterility of these amps, because these Class D amps now are a very sterile sound. They don't really add much to it. They don't add any color, and they don't take anything away. You basically get pretty darn close to what you're putting into them. They've come a long way in the last couple years, but they don't certainly add much in the way of color to the sound. So what a lot of the high-end companies that are using Class D, and there's a lot of them that are using Class D now, they're putting MOSFET front ends and vacuum tube front ends, because you can't replicate the sound of a MOSFET or a vacuum tube. So they're adding them to the front end of Class D boards, Class D modules, to make the amp sound more tube-ish, let's say, and they're doing a very good job doing it. But anyway, these are dirt cheap. Something like this, someone would use something like this for, again, it'd be great for background music. It's got the remote control, so you can control it remotely. You could build one of these inside a speaker box, and then just have a pair of wires for the second speaker heading out to the second, to the other speaker, or stick it to the back of a speaker. If you're putting a couple speakers up on a shelf, all you need is one power wire going into this and a wire from this to the other speaker, and stick this up to the back of a speaker or to the top of it, and plug your memory card in, and then you've got background music, either USB stick or memory card, or hide it right inside the speaker box, which is what I've done on a couple of these devices. I've actually taken one of these boards and I've put it right inside the speaker. Anyway, thanks for watching. Link to this one, as usual, is in the description. We'll catch you later.